It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's sourdough. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I'm Tom Papa. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited about today's show. We have the very talented singer, songwriter, performer Morgan James on the program. I love Morgan so much, and if you're a listener of my Come to Papa show on SiriusXM, you've heard her many times. She's a staple on our live show. She's tremendous, beautiful, talented. I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. It's going to be a swell time. I got to get to Morgan because I'm in New York City right now, which is very exciting to do the show. And I figure I'll get some podcasts under our belt for our beloved people here in New York. Today's show is brought to you by Helix Mattresses. How long have you been sleeping on your stupid mattress? Why don't you treat yourself and start exploring, making your life a little better? That's a good idea. Helix, you take this test, a sleep test, and you put in all of your sleep desires, all of your expectations of what you want out of a sleep. I did it. They sent me a mattress, and my life has drastically improved. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. That's adorable. Go to helixsleep.com/papa. That's helixsleep.com/papa. And with Helix Sleep, better sleep starts now. Love being in New York. It's perfect right now. It's got that October primetime leather jacket. Throw on a scarf, maybe a hat if you don't have a lot of hair. Still not like super cold, but just pretty perfect. And I'm here doing some shows. I went to a big Italian wedding, and you want to talk about food. You want to talk about, it was in the middle of the ceremony. This was my cousin's son was getting married. And, of course, the Papas are Italian. And then during the ceremony, they were going back and forth doing the vows. And then they said something about the bride being from a big Italian family. And I was like, I immediately thought, oh, we're in New Jersey. We've got 2 Italian families coming together. This food is going to be insane. And it was. You should have seen it. You should have seen the gluttony, the insanity. They had this cocktail hour that took up this entire room. Every inch of it had different stuff, from pastas to the seafood to all this stuff. They had this prosciutto tower. It looked like a wedding cake made out of dangling meat. Insane. I was like, are we supposed to, what is happening? I could have just stayed. There was this one center section. It was right out of Sicily. It was just this giant thing of Parmesan, where they have where you dig in the middle of it. And there was just Tirali and olives and salumis. And it was there was every single thing that you would ever grow up with in an Italian house, or if you had an Italian neighbor, or if you ran through Little Italy. They had all of it in this one spot. And people just ate their faces off and still had to go to dinner. And still had to roll into dinner. It was Italian to the max. Really, really fun. Really great. And, I shot my special last week. And did I tell you about that? I feel like I might have. I shot my special in Boston. And, I was kind of dialing it in. I did tell you about this. And then I decided, well, I'm going to have a cheat week instead of a cheat day. I'm going to go cheat week. And it was, it's now over a week, well over a week. And I haven't stopped. And to roll into New York at the end of cheat week, of course it's going to continue. I'm just eating pizza every time I walk down a block. I wasn't going to drink. Last night, I had 2 martinis. I'm not in my fighting weight. I don't have my stamina. I don't have my. Nicole, what do you call it when you build up drinking?
Tolerance.
Tolerance. I don't have the tolerance. It used to be 2 martinis wasn't a problem. I had 1.5, and I was in this outdoor dining booth, and I was with my friend Skylar, and had 1.5, got up to use the restroom, and walked straight into a plexiglass wall. It was, I mean, in my defense, very, very little defense, but in my defense, it was very clear. I mean, you couldn't tell from, with my glasses, I'm not the best anyway, but just, when you bang into a outdoor dining structure's plexiglass wall, full force as a grown man, you're going to make a lot of noise and scare a lot of people who are eating. So I got to get out of here. But there's a Yankee game coming up, so I got to go eat my face off there, too. It's like the last hurrah of hot dogs. I've been declaring that hot dog season is over now for 2 months, and I'm going to see the Yankees on Thursday in the second playoff game, and how am I not going to eat 20 hot dogs there? I'm out of control is what I'm trying to say. Haven't been home. I got to call my wife and have her feed the starter. Just doing shows all over the place. It's been insane. Go to tompapa.com, by the way. I've got some big shows coming up in Albany at the Egg, the Count Basie Theater coming up in Red Bank. That one's going to be great. That's a beautiful theater. So all you Jersey peeps, all you Jersey mooks that were at the wedding, you guys can come out. All right, Morgan James. She is amazing. Right now, if you don't know her, a lot of people know her. She's a big deal. I can't believe she became my friend. I saw her when I was going to see Garrison Keillor's final performance of Prairie Home Companion in Los Angeles at the Hollywood Bowl. And it was the final Prairie Home. I was very excited. I came in, and as people were being sat, they had performers up there just entertaining people before the show. And Morgan James came out. There was just this beautiful woman up on stage belting out this song, filling the entire Hollywood Bowl with the most powerful, beautiful singing. I was like, holy cow. And I was mesmerized. Even, it's not even dark out, and I was just mesmerized, blown away. So I looked her up after the whole thing. And as great as Prairie Home Companion was, I was like, who was that? And I looked her up and found her and sent her a message on social media. Turns out she was in New York. I was coming to New York to do Come to Papa. And just throwing a Hail Mary, asked her if she would come on the show, if she wanted to come and perform on the show. And she said yes, which was insane to me. This goddess from the Hollywood Bowl was going to show up and do our silly Come to Papa show. Well, it turns out she is as beautiful a person as she is a singer, and loves comedy, and has become fast friends over the last couple of years. I guess you got to go before COVID, so it's even more, with all of our comedian friends. And she just loves comedy, loves being a part of it. They all love her. They all are blown away every time she comes and performs on the show. So we're going to do the big Halloween show tonight. And we snuck this conversation in with her. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Music, wherever you get your music, and just put in Morgan James. And you will, if you're not already hip to it, you'll understand why I consider myself so lucky to not only be able to perform with her, but also to call her a friend. So this will be great because there's a lot of little things I don't know about her, and that's what this podcast is at its best, is a way to kind of like dive a little deeper with the people that I know and or want to know and love. So enjoy now my conversation with Morgan James. Thanks for being here, Morgan.
Thanks for having me, Tom.
Nice to see you.
It's nice to see you. I'm glad you're back.
I know. We have a big show to do tonight.
I know. I'm becoming a staple of the Come to Papa show.
I always feel like you're too big of a star for that show.
I'm not. In fact, you're going to have to do an entire, dissertation about who I am for your listeners and watchers. Who is this? It must be a slow day in New York.
Well, I'm going to do I'll do a proper intro, but you're very popular. A lot of people know you. You've done a whole bunch of things. You're a big thing.
I have
You're
done a
big
lot of
deal.
different things.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. I didn't realize that you sang opera or studied opera.
I studied opera. Yeah, I went to the Juilliard School, studied
Yeah.
opera. Yeah. I technically can still sing it. I'm super rusty.
Really?
Well, yeah, it's like anything. If you don't do it
Yeah.
every day.
Really? Oh, so even from the style that you sing, like if you're singing all the time, but if you don't sing specifically opera, it's a
I study classically in my lessons still to this day. So every week I have a voice lesson.
you do?
Yeah.
You need a voice lesson, or you don't need a
Yeah.
voice lesson? You
Everyone needs to. I mean, you'll never find a musician who's good who doesn't keep practicing.
That's
You know?
true.
You do comedy all the time.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think you need to practice, but you do.
Right. Yeah, I guess the idea of like going for a lesson seems different.
Well, it's just like a living instrument. So
Yeah.
the voice is so delicate. It's really hardy and it does amazing things, but it's also really delicate and it could go off the rails really quickly, you know?
Yeah.
And I go to my teacher and we still study. Sometimes I'll just pull out an art song or an aria and work on German or just to get my
Really?
mind going, and keep it fresh.
Wow. That's an amazing thing to be able to go and do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrible, but I remind myself of those skills. You know what I mean? At least with languages. But
Yeah.
my technique, I feel like my technique is better than it's ever been. Maybe because a woman's voice matures so much later, and also because I have kept up with it.
Oh. It really? What's the trajectory for a male voice?
Male voices mature earlier, like late 20s, early 30s, and a woman's really blooms late 30s, early 40s.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you being 25,
Yeah, I'm really.
so you're coming
I'm almost
into your
there.
own. That's amazing. So you went to Juilliard and you start studying opera as part of your thing, probably, not the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing.
It's just a classical program.
So why does Morgan just hang around Lincoln Center? Why does she go off and do all these amazing rhythm and blues things and Broadway things? And
I wanted to go to Juilliard because obviously it's the best, and because a lot of people I admired had gone there.
right,
So I wanted to be like Audra McDonald, and I wanted to be like some people that had who I perceived had taken a circuitous path, maybe. And
let me interrupt. When you are thinking these things, where are you?
in high school,
In
in
Modesto?
Modesto, California, yeah.
Okay.
And I knew when I was 14 that I wanted to go to Juilliard, that I was going to go there.
Yeah.
And I was rejected from Juilliard, which was a shock because I knew I was supposed to go there.
Yeah.
And so I proceeded to send them lots of letters like, this is a mistake. And I'm very annoying. My friends call me Squeaky Wheel James. And I get things done, So
Yeah.
I kind of badgered them and I sent some supporting materials, as it were. And I was on the wait list.
Right.
And then I was accepted off the wait list.
Really? How
So-
many letters did you send them?
Oh, I sent them, like, I was really cheeky about it. I sent videos and letters and supporting material from other people, and I made it a joke, and I made it, but it was serious,
Yeah.
And I knew that I had to be there. And I never really wanted to be an opera singer. I wanted to be on Broadway.
Okay.
And
So
and
when
I
you get
pursued
there,
that.
they just say you are doing opera? Or is it
Well,
your
you have to
choice?
study classically,
Right.
which yeah, and they don't encourage you to really do anything else.
Oh, okay.
So you make a choice to be there and study and drink the Kool-Aid and learn the things they want you to learn.
Right.
And I kind of hated it at the time, but of course, like anything, you become older and you say, wow, I really learned a lot. And,
Yeah. When you first got there, though, it was like you weren't that psyched with it?
Well, you go through this, every Juilliard student I know
Yeah.
who has survived it goes through this thing of, oh, I'm so grateful. I'll never take it for granted. I will walk through the hallowed halls and say a prayer. And then you get there and it's really tough and
Yeah.
really mean, and it's hard to make friends, and it's not very social, and they beat you down and all the things you hear about, and then you
Right.
hate it and you feel guilty. You go through the cycles of grief of being at Juilliard.
Jeez.
And then you graduate and you go, why did I spend that money? Why did I spend that time? I hate it.
Wow. How
And
many
then-
years?
How many
Is
years?
it 4?
It's 4.
It is 4.
And then there comes a point when you are thankful for it again and rose-colored glasses, and you go, yeah, wasn't that bad.
After you're out of it.
Yeah,
though.
of course.
So not at any point during it are you like,
No.
really?
And I couldn't tell anybody. I felt like I couldn't tell anybody because my parents were teachers and they were not well off and they sacrificed a lot for me to go.
Yeah.
And I couldn't very well go, it's really not that great after all. You know, I just felt like such a brat.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a challenge to be there, you know?
It's amazing, isn't it, how like these places that you want to get into, whether they're structured or not, like comedy has a similar thing. Like all these places beyond the arts, you have to pay your dues for something that's really good. It's not easy to crack. You've got to, and it doesn't mean that the people there are mean, but they went through it and they're tough, and you've got to earn your spot. And they're
going to put you through what they went through.
They're not going to waste time with someone who's not serious and is not going to stick around.
And
Do a lot of people drop out?
A lot of people drop out.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't think, and I don't say that with any shade, it's really not for everybody.
Yeah.
But like anything, like when I finally got to my first Broadway show and I had an idea of what it might be, then I experienced what it really was. It's the cycle of figuring out what something really is in reality.
Yeah.
And the expectation.
Yeah.
Expectation gets you in trouble. You know?
Yeah, it could stop you in your tracks. Yeah, that whole thing of like the first time you go onto a Broadway stage to audition, and it's just like,
well, they don't audition on the stage anymore.
Oh, they don't?
No.
Really?
No, and that's been years.
Not like chorus line?
Nope, they stopped auditioning on the stage in the 80s.
Why?
Or maybe early 90s. Because singular. I wish. Oh my God. I used to read, hear tell of like Barbra Streisand on the stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been at least since the 80s that they didn't do it on the stage. It's a cost nightmare with Local One. Are you kidding me?
Oh. So
Every
you
time
go
you had
to
an
a
audition,
studio.
you have to have the entire crew.
Yeah.
You go to the studio, yeah.
You go in a studio and they just, that's what.
I know, it's not as glamorous.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't do it.
No, you should. That's not good enough for you to be in a studio.
Yeah, but that thing of like going, you carry in your mind what something is, and then you show up, and then after you've been there for a bit, you're like, I can't believe I was scared of this.
Yeah.
At one point, but it's just because you didn't know it.
And I also can't believe I thought this was going to be perfect and change my life.
Yeah.
And be the thing that solves everything.
Right.
You know, there's no magic bullet. There just isn't. You know.
No, it's cumulative. Did you pursue opera at all, or you just knew this is just training, I'm going to Broadway?
I really wanted to I learned early on at Juilliard that I was more interested in the storytelling part than I was just the singing part. I missed that there's a different kind of community in a theater setting. And there's the storytelling is in some ways stronger. I think the acting. Yeah. And I really missed that. I wanted that. So I kind of knew that I wanted to go into theater.
Yeah.
So I started pursuing it right after I graduated. But it's like anything, you know, I graduated from Juilliard, and then I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake. I mean, I'm just going to go to an audition, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
And it was not, spoiler alert, it was not that. You know, it took me a long time to get my first Broadway show.
Did it?
Oh, God, yeah.
How long?
Well, from the time I moved to New York, 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, so 6 years after I graduated. I mean, it felt like an eternity of waiting tables and tending bar and nannying.
What was the show?
My first show, I had a lot of near misses, but my first show was The Addams Family with Nathan Lane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's the best.
God,
Phoebe Newirth and
oh my God.
Kevin Chamberlain and Terry Mann and Jackie Hoffman.
Oh my God.
Carolee Carmello, like truly the best cast.
Yeah.
And I was around these like comedic greats like all the time.
Right.
It was amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Were you so tell me when you get news of it, that you got it.
Well, I figured something out along the way somewhere. I was like, okay, this auditioning is for the birds for me because I'm terrible at it.
Right.
So I don't think I'm going to be able to book a big job from just walking in and saying, hi, I'm Morgan and singing. I'm just not good at it. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get in the rooms another way.
Uh-huh.
So I started getting to know music directors and composers because I could sight read and I was so quick and I could do everything. So I was like, if I can get in and they want me.
Right.
And that is ultimately how I got all of the shows I got. It's not by auditioning. It was by people knowing me
Sure.
and knowing I was good for it.
Yeah.
Because I would audition and they'd go, she's really not that bad.
Why do you think? What was it?
It is a totally different skill.
Yeah, it's the same in acting.
It is the same with comedy. Like, just because
Yeah.
you can do one thing does not, it's a total, and there are people, a lot of people that are great auditioners and terrible on stage.
Right.
So I ended up doing and I also knew that to be in a show, you have to be involved from the beginning, the workshop.
Uh-huh.
So you have to already be in the inner circle.
You know
what I mean?
Because they fall in love with the
Yeah.
people in those roles
Absolutely.
early on.
Absolutely. So I was in the very first workshop of the Addams Family.
Ah.
And I was in the first workshop of Motown. I was in the first workshop I was in a couple of the workshops of Godspell. I was same with Wonderland. So you have to be
Right.
in the beginning, usually.
Yeah. People. It's just knowing people.
It's people.
Knowing the right people.
It's relationships.
Yeah, and then they know you're good, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, going in blind is just, it's
so rare that someone really breaks in as an unknown commodity. I mean, you really have to be vetted and already have to be in the circles, you know?
Yeah. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. The Helix lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you? Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress will be shipped straight to your door free of charge. I did this. My wife and I both did this because we both have different desires in what we want to sleep on. She's a little more firm. I'm a little more mushy. She runs a little hot. I run a little cold. We put it all in, and they sent back the results of the type of mattress that they recommend. We ordered it. They sent it. We got rid of the old mattress, which it's such a silly thing when, sleep is the most important thing you could possibly do. And for some reason, we don't upgrade as often as we should, or even spend much time figuring out what would be what would make the most sense. So Helix Sleep sent me this mattress, and we've been on it ever since. I can't be any more honest than that. Helix knows no better way to test out a new mattress than sleeping on it in your own home. That's why they offer 100-night free risk trial. You try out a new Helix mattress, see how your body adjusts. If you decide it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. Come on now. Helix mattresses, I am really butchering it. I'm sorry, Helix. Helix mattresses, red leather, yellow leather, unique New York. Helix mattresses are American-made and come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. And remember, you get to try it for 100 nights, risk-free. Helix has been awarded the #1 mattress pick by GQ and Wired Magazine, and they're offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free fluffy pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/papa, P-A-P-A. With Helix, better sleep starts now. So were you at the time when you get Addams Family, I mean, you're 6 years out of school.
Yeah.
Were you starting to think maybe this isn't going to happen?
Oh, yeah. I fully contemplated leaving the business altogether. I was horribly depressed. I was obviously broke.
Yeah. Where were you waiting tables? What part of town?
I waited tables and was a server and a hostess at Prohibition on the Upper West Side.
Nice.
I worked at Good Enough to Eat on the Upper West Side.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite jobs. I was a tutor for kids.
Right.
I had to work a lot of
Hustling.
jobs.
Yeah.
I sang weddings on Saturdays.
Oh, yeah?
I catered.
Right.
I would cater the U.S. Open every year.
Oh, man.
I had to have so many jobs, because if I got a job, a regional theater or a tour,
Yeah.
I would have to leave.
Right. Yeah, you
It's
can't
that
have a steady
whole
gig.
actor life,
God.
It's crazy.
It is
to
crazy.
think about it.
When you think back on those
Oh, my
days,
God.
it seems like impossible that you got through it, right? Like, doesn't it seem like
Oh.
now that you're like successful and you have a life,
Yeah.
like the idea of like having zero money right? A lot of days you have
Yeah,
zero money.
nothing.
You need this gig to get you the
Couldn't take the bus to the subway sometimes.
Right.
Couldn't, like,
Right,
you know, it's funny
exactly.
because I didn't start having, like, drinking, for instance, until I got my first Broadway show because I was like a teetotaler growing up and in college and stuff. I had no money. Who has an extra $15 or $18 for a cocktail? I had no money, so I never drank. You couldn't do anything.
nothing.
I lived in a sublet in Queens. I remember when I was auditioning all the time, and it was my cat and I in a stranger's house, like in a room. Just I never left the room.
Yeah.
I catered every night, and I would eat just like hummus and a bag of peas for food, like
Right.
for a week. You know, I mean, it sounds dramatic, but it was really true.
I know. I used to get I've said it on this podcast before. I used to get this bagel, egg and cheese, bacon, egg and cheese
Yeah,
on the
classic.
corner. Like I would get the $5 for doing late night at the at the comic strip, and then I buy that sandwich because it was so big and they put so much on it that
could be 2 meals?
Yeah, it could last me the whole day.
You had to. I mean, it's very funny because I think that you know, your dreams change, your goals change. You know?
Yeah.
And I really used to say, oh, I'll just be so happy, I'll be so satisfied if I can just pay my bills making music. You know?
Yeah.
Of course, you want more and more things as you get older.
Yeah.
Those goals change. But
Yeah.
I think because of all the years of hustling that I choose to do very little most days. Because of those days where I was just on my feet all day.
Yeah.
And never doing anything creative.
Right.
And the sadness of that and the desire, you know. So there are lots of days when I just daydream
Yeah.
and I do nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And that is the epitome of luxury to me.
Right.
You know?
Of course. Yeah.
And so lucky.
Yeah, man, those times when you're like, am I a server or am I an artist?
And also, am I crazy? Am I the only one that thinks I should be doing this? Is the world trying to tell me that
Yeah.
you shouldn't be doing this anymore?
Yeah, that's the hard
Oh,
part.
it's
Like
so hard.
stand up, you were able to, if there's an open mic, you can go do it, and you could always be doing it. Was there, other than lessons, was there any place that did you like start going up just to sing, like before you got the shows?
You know, a lot of those, by the time I came around to New York, a lot of the big open mics, sometimes I would go at Cafe Wa around the corner.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I would go sing at Prohibition.
Oh yeah,
But they're clogged with people. I mean, hundreds of singers want to get. I mean, it's just
right.
Smalls or any of these places. It's
Yeah.
not like it used to be where people could just get up or
Yeah,
it's
the old
it's
triple in or whatever.
ye olde.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very competitive and it's, you know, and then that's a whole evening unto itself trying to get up.
Right, hanging out all day.
Doing the hang. The hang
Yeah.
is expensive and the hang is costly on your spirit.
Yeah.
So you have to really pick your battles, you know?
Yeah.
And I wasn't really in the position to go to an open mic when I was in Milenas because I was still trying to get a Broadway show. I didn't know I had this other voice yet.
Right.
You know?
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it was kind of developing in this time, in this like time of sadness and like desperation of like, am I doing the right thing with life? That I was starting to find. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but I was truly like starting to find the blues, like in my saddest, like da 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 da. Just like that's when you find the sads.
Yeah.
And I had this. Sometimes when I would let this other voice come out, people would say like, "Oh, I like that one. That voice is nice."
Oh,
But it was,
really?
but it was a mimic of something else. It wasn't really truly me yet.
You were just playing around.
I was kind of playing around with like what's inside of me, you know.
What was the other voice?
Well, I had my classical voice, my soprano. I mean, there are all these different people that I sound like.
Right.
Then I had my musical theater voice, and then I had, you know, and I had.
Uh-huh.
So I was playing with like which one's the real me.
Yeah. It's so interesting to think that. Like.
Yeah, because you really only know my true sound, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That there's different versions for the gig.
Yeah, I mean, I still do some crossover classical kind of gigs sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, with symphonies, and yeah, it's like a different world, you know.
Yeah, that looks amazing. Whenever I see the pictures of you in front of this giant orchestra
Oh,
or
it's
something
so
in a big
cool.
gown, and is that different than the voice I know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. I think the hustler in me, I've got that kind of hustler spirit of like, yeah, I'll do whatever voice gets me paid, you know.
Yeah.
I do love to sing, so if it's like an opportunity, you know, I just I just don't say no to most things that
Right.
allow me to get paid to sing.
Right.
You know? And it includes a lot of different worlds.
So when you're hustling and struggling early, were you able to? What were you doing with your voice? Because you don't have the gig. Like now, you have a lot of different gigs, and you're always generating stuff, and you can always be singing. Could you always be singing back then?
No.
So
No.
there are times when
You
you're
don't
just
get opportunities to sing.
You're like a bird that's not allowed to sing.
No. And it was very sad.
Yeah.
And it was something I really had to
rough.
deal with, in therapy, is that, your only opportunity is like maybe you get up in class and sing in your musical theater class like once every 2 weeks, or maybe in your less, but no one hears you.
Yeah.
You just feel like you live in a void.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I sing
'Cause it's
every
what you
day now.
are.
Yeah, it's what
Yeah.
I am. And
God, that's hard.
and a musician can practice on their own all the time. Whether
Right.
anyone hears them, they still get to use their instrument.
Right.
And I guess I could sing by myself, but
No, like a guitarist can
yeah.
be working their fingers and doing it.
Yeah. Cello, piano, it just feels like
Yeah.
something you can constantly be in relationship with.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the
singer.
saddest things to me. But when I got my first Broadway show, it's like they always say, then the door is open, and I got 4 more pretty consecutive.
Wow.
Once I
Yeah.
got into the club.
Into the flow.
Into the flow.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Was it a flash dance moment when you got the call that said you got the show, or was it more of a slow burn because you knew the people in it?
It was more of a slow burn, and it was also just like, oh, thank God. I just need to get one under my belt, and,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel like a big champagne moment. It just felt like, oh, I'm just so thankful that I'm not.
Yeah.
It's so hard going through this city. Oh, and as a young person and being like, oh, what do you do? I'm an actress. Oh, what are you in? I'm in nothing. It's that. And then end of
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, I belong to a community. I am in the club.
God.
I am going to be on the stage that I said I was going to be on when I was 10 years old.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just-
amazing.
Yeah. So whether or not it turns out to be the best thing that's ever happened,
Yeah.
I said I wanted to do it, and I did it.
Yeah. God.
like that.
10 years.
Yeah.
10 years, and finally Nathan Lane knows your name.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah, and BB was so great to me, and and Nathan and Kevin Chamberlain were really encouraged me to like be funny, and
Oh, yeah?
and to lean into, whether it's in my own show or in other shows that I did, my own solo show. Be quirky, be funny, be the person. Like, it's not all the time that someone sings like you and is pretty and can be funny.
Yeah.
And Nathan
no.
always said you need to lean into that.
Oh.
And they were great. They always took me under their wing.
Yeah.
They were great.
That's great advice. I mean, what a different headspace from singing opera.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
How many funny female opera roles are there?
Well, there are. It's a different funny, but
Yeah.
it's very broad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Not funny by our standards, for sure.
Yeah. It's like a washerwoman that falls down or something.
Yeah, it's all just like slapsticky, broad comedy.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Yeah.
How long were you on that show?
I did that show all told for about like a year and a half, maybe all together. The workshops, the out of town, the New York run. And then
Really?
yeah.
Jeez. What's that grind like when you're doing the same show every single night? Because
Oh my gosh. 8 shows a week is the hardest job in the world. I really
Yeah.
do believe that.
Right.
It is so hard on your body.
Yeah.
There's so many injuries because you're doing the same thing in the same way at the same level every single night over and
Right.
over and over.
Yeah.
There's no variety, It's just you it's hard on your mind because you only get one day off a week, and your evenings are gone. People with kids, they don't see their kids at night, and
Yeah.
it's a grind. It's really, but it teaches you so much about like stamina. That's why when I go on the road, I have stamina for days, and I
Right.
just have longevity and
Yeah.
the work ethic from the Broadway world,
Oh,
and that's what that taught me.
And then you're doing one show a night someplace, and it's a piece of cake.
Well, and sometimes I do 10, 12, 14 shows in a row on my
Right.
tour,
Right?
but and it is hard. I've reached 14 is about my
Is it?
about my limit in a row,
Yeah.
but I
it-
can change anything I want.
Right. Yeah, that's
I
the
can
part.
do anything I want.
Right. I don't have the part where, like, some people, the idea of like doing the same thing over and over, really, they can't wrap their head around it at all. I can get pretty repetitive. Like, if, and I'm like,
I do too.
you know what I mean? It's okay. I could still find joy in whatever this thing is, even if it's set. But I've never experienced it at that level where, number one, you're not allowed to change.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I could just change if I want, and that it's that schedule, that constant repetition for that long. I could see why a lot of people drink a lot on Broadway.
Yeah, it's when I started drinking. And it's also, you turn into, you are now a night person.
Right.
You are now, the show comes down and you're hungry.
Yeah.
You want to drink and you're not tired at all.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
you are a night owl. And, Saturday nights we all go out together and you're in a community now.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible community of people.
Yeah.
And so I do miss that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are a night person.
Yeah.
It's like, so
Yeah.
totally different world.
Yeah. You can tell, like, with the best award show to watch is the Tonys,
Yes.
because those people pay their dues, work super hard. Like you said, that community.
Yeah.
Like, those acceptance speeches are so heartfelt compared to any other.
God. Like Andre DeShields winning a Tony a couple years ago.
Yeah.
He was in his 70s.
Yeah.
Maybe older, like first Tony.
Older, I think. Yeah.
I mean, legends,
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm old school, so I definitely am a huge fan of the generation that I grew up on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Broadway's changed a lot, unfortunately, but
Oh, yeah. And what way?
well, I feel like it's just. I feel like it changed. I feel like Broadway really changed for the worse when we decided that we were going to pick a lead of a show based on a reality, like on a game show. Like when we did You're
Right.
the One That I Want.
Right.
That was when it changed, where we're going to put celebrities in Broadway shows.
Yeah.
I mean that, and we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. We can't go back now.
Not after the producers see the ticket sales for putting.
Yeah, but
star in
I
there.
always want to say, okay, well, Ariana DeBose, who was in Motown with me, won an Oscar this year. She was not a celebrity outside. She was a theater-grown star.
Right.
She was not a. That's not stunt casting.
Right.
Why don't producers see that?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
develop stars in theater, they'll become stars in movies, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the way it always worked.
yeah, it was always like that.
Yeah.
So that makes me sad, and everything's based on a movie, and that makes me sad. So there are things that I grumble about because I'm very get off my lawn about most
You
things.
think that it's weird having SpongeBob as a Broadway musical?
Yeah, or like this is Doubtfire and all this crap. It's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
I miss more original ideas.
Yeah, I know, but
Not
that's
that
everywhere.
not like I'm out there writing the next new musical, but
Yeah, but that's it. That's a cultural thing. It
know.
really is.
like the reboots. All it is reboots.
I just saw that they're bringing Frasier back. Everyone's got to be 90, and it's like, just give me something new. Just
Yeah.
give another. And when you're younger and like discovering stuff, that's what you want because it speaks to you, and it's like the artists are talking to you, and your generation has a thing, and those things last.
Yeah.
To just reboot stuff nonstop in everything.
Yeah, it's in every genre.
Let me ask you this just off of that. When you see all of these hits in pop music, popular music, whether it's hip hop or just pop or whatever,
Yeah.
and they're all using everything from the past, and the dominant hooks are things from Ray Charles or whatever. Is it an old man's grumble to be like, how about just the traditional singer songwriter coming up with something?
Oh gosh,
Brand
This
new?
I don't think we even have time for my answer on this because
No,
this
but I
is
am
like the
curious.
ultimate soapbox for me. I
Okay.
I'm the epitome of like get off my lawn when it comes to this topic because I have no problem with sampling. So sampling and an original idea are two separate issues. If only they were sampling something and making it great, right?
Uh-huh.
They're not. My problem with music on the top 40 music today
Yeah.
is that it is not rooted in anything. I so worry for this generation of listening teens and 20s, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I came up on listening to so much great music. You came up listening to so much great music. It influences what I want to listen to and make for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So a kid growing up now who turns on the radio, who listens to, it is truly the fast food of music.
Yeah.
It's not rooted in anything.
Right.
And it's the hip hop, for instance. I love classic hip hop.
Yeah.
And what I love about it most is that everybody sounded so different.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was a huge insult if you sounded like anybody else, like in comedy, like, biting anybody's style.
Mm-hmm.
And now I literally cannot tell any of these MCs apart.
Yeah.
And when it comes to there are no singer-songwriters. They're out there.
They're there.
No, they're out there, but they can't break through because
No.
they don't have the machine behind them and they don't have the money to be on the radio.
Right.
And they're not being let through the machine. And it's a crime.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you think that? Oh man, it's really interesting because there is people can break through on TikTok or YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
most of my fans find me through YouTube.
Yeah.
I would say 90% of my fans find me through YouTube.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I shouldn't complain that there are ways that people can be found.
Yeah.
It's just, most of the new music that I hear, and I listen every Friday to the new releases, and it's garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to mince words. It's garbage.
Yeah.
And anybody great stands out so far that it's like the Chris Stapletons and the Brandy Carlisle stand out so far that it's hilarious.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
And that we're so starved for real food.
Yeah,
that we're just like, oh yes, that's the one.
Right.
And then
right.
only one or two people are allowed through.
Right.
But I was at a major label for 5 years, and anytime when I would bring them songs, they wanted something that sounded like something that was already there, and I said, but that's already on the radio.
Yeah.
And they would send me to these ridiculous producer meetings and co-writing sessions and want me to make total weird crap.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they wanted me to be, I would fight with them nonstop they wanted me to make garbage.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just crank out stuff.
Just crank out garbage.
Jeez. It is really strange. Like it does feel like a generation of fans aren't getting that thing of like, I mean, because you could see like even like, I've got teens and the stuff that hooks that they like, it's stuff that's from when we were growing up.
Yeah.
They start to discover that stuff.
Yes.
Because there was like real
it's
soul
real
and
ingredients.
songwriting and the real ingredients.
Well,
right,
but
right.
it's also, I feel bad for that generation because it's not their fault that they're being fed this crap.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that the radio and playlisting is so curated and so led by money.
Yeah.
That it's not their fault that those playlists are going and the algorithms are a certain way.
Right.
And, they would like something great if we let that succeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't, and people are always like, oh, I know what I like. No, you like what you know.
Right.
And you like what you're fed.
Yeah.
And so if we feed people great things, they'll like that.
Yeah.
They will.
No, definitely, because they'll feel better.
Yeah, they'll feel better. They'll feel healthier. They'll sleep better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to hear, because I always feel like maybe I'm just like out of it and grumbly. But when you hear like a classic song and someone's just talking over it, I mean, without great words, it's just like, what are we doing? Like, this is a cheat.
It is. Yes.
It's a real cheat.
It is.
Yeah.
And back in the day, think of the hip hop in the 90s, the way they, first of all, without advanced computers to splice all that stuff, how they sampled and how they, the artistry that went into it.
Yeah.
And because the reason hip hop from the 90s is great because those guys listen to music.
Yeah.
They grew up on great
They
music.
have huge collections.
Huge collections of music. They listened to everything and they all wanted to be so unique and so special.
Yeah.
They didn't want to sound like anybody. And they also, you found other great records listening to that's why I love classic hip hop.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there's nothing wrong with that continuing conversation and moving stuff along and taking from the past but it seems distorted at this point. It seems like you don't have the artistry. It's not in artists' hands. It's just in the splicing it and executing it. It's not like you know, when De La Soul like took it or Public Enemy took it, it was just like,
Yeah.
you know, it was in the hands of somebody that was really trying to say something and do something.
And I really do like what is today's like top 40 pop, let's say. What is it influenced by? Like I love 90s R&B, right?
Yeah.
Grew up on it, love it. 90s R&B is great in part because it's inspired from 70s R&B. Right? It's taking it and, what is today's music? I cannot hear a single influence. Right? I don't feel and this bedroom kind of pop of like I don't understand the moody be as quiet as you can and just whisper your diary. It's not singing. I know I sound so old.
No, I agree.
I don't get it. Like,
yeah,
please let it die.
I know.
I'm really being subtle today.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
But really, I don't get it either. And you're just like, just purely knowing nothing other than just being a fan. I hear your voice and it's like, holy shit, that's a singer. Really? You're like, just not knowing anything, you can know this person is singing the shit out of this song.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
then you hear somebody else go, and you're like, what are they doing? That's not, it's not the same thing.
Right. It's not, it's definitely not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think part of the problem I had when I was signed to Epic Records is that I didn't have anything written. I didn't have an album. I just was signed as a voice. And so when I got there, then it was a big debate about, what are we going to make you into? I was like, well, I don't think you need to make me into something. I want to sing soulful music. And okay, well, what are we got to have a gimmick and it just all started to crumble.
Right.
About, we got to make it into a thing that's clever that will.
Marketing. It's marketing.
It just all became you don't look like you sound, and that just became, instead of being an advantage or something cool, it turned into a problem,
In the eyes of this marketing.
In the eyes of just it's just very ADD. The marketing and the attention spans are just so low when it comes to developing, Back in the day, all the artists we love and grew up on, right? Yeah. They would do 1, 2, 3 records that were terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and then the label would go, you'll get it. We believe in you. Developing an artist.
Yeah.
Hall & Oates their first record didn't hit.
Yeah.
Hall & Oates is one of the best bands in the world, So you do one bad thing. I did 2 records at Epic and they put some money behind, my record, my Hunter record, my first original record.
Right.
But, pretty much when I found out I got dropped was Ellie Reed went into a staff meeting and said, we're going to do a new thing. Go down alphabetically and tell me who didn't make money last month.
What?
And I'm Jay, so I got dropped. That was literally how someone decided to not invest anymore in my career. They don't care. The attention span is so low. They don't care how much money they've spent on you already. They don't care about your potential.
Right.
They don't care about music.
Yeah. I just saw this thing with Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
There's a documentary on them, and they got canceled their first season on HBO. And Lorne Michaels said, people loved them, and they got canceled. And Lauren was like, this had nothing to do with their potential. It had nothing to do with how funny they were or how the show was doing. It was purely the economics at HBO at the time. And it really just kind of resonated with me because so many times you get things canceled and you think it's, as the artist, you always think it's you.
Of course.
And it's, what could I have done? What possibly could I have done more? Could I have done it? And it was just like, no, this is people you never met that were not part of your process at all are just making a decision based on a ledger of what's happening this month, this quarter. And
you're just a line item.
It has nothing to do with you.
No.
Nothing at all. That's amazing.
I mean, the hardest part about being an artist, amongst many things, is, it's that line from You've Got Mail where he says, it's not personal. And she said, it's not personal to you.
Right.
It's personal to me. Like, every single thing we do, we get up in we just are like, here's my, standing alone in a spotlight, Yeah. And say, here's my whole self.
Yeah.
It's personal.
Yeah, of course.
And it's like, the rejection is like,
yeah.
Oh, God.
But now the other side of it, in this beautiful time that we're in, so you don't work with Epic.
Yeah.
And you start making your own shit.
Yeah.
And touring.
And it's been the best thing that ever happened to me.
And YouTube and all the rest of it, and people find it. It's like, so the artist can't be stopped.
No, I can't be stopped. And in fact, it's been so empowering to not be on a label and make whatever I want, and to have people say, yeah, that we want that, and to be it's I have my own quality control in the people who are actually listening to me.
Yeah.
And my fans are so loyal and so amazing.
Yeah.
And I could never have found them if I hadn't made myself accessible in trying to reach people and being dropped.
Right.
I made myself accessible, and people want to be a part of a journey.
That's what I'm saying. That's back to the thing of
it's
discovery.
Like the silver lining, and discovery. And people want to say, I was there when there were 7 people in the room.
That's right.
Everybody always says about Brandi Carlile. It's a lot of people that were in the rooms of 7. It's odd. But everyone's like, oh, I was there when there were only 7 people in the room.
Right.
But no, people do want to be
a
part of something from the beginning. I always knew, I believed, and I was there.
Yeah, yeah. And it wasn't pushed on me. It was, people weren't telling me I should like this.
There's a backlash to the algorithm, to the playlist.
Yeah.
There's a backlash to it. And
yeah, for sure.
One of the biggest pieces of evidence is that vinyl's back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kids love vinyl. It's a backlash to the low attention span. It's a backlash to the impersonal way that we live.
Yeah. No, they want to sit and be immersed and hang with the artist and read the cover. And
yeah, they do.
You want all that. That's what's so frustrating about the way, especially when you're not young and music isn't coming from all your friends and everything, and you're just immersed in the world of it. And then when you're alone as a grown-up, you have to go seek out music. And the way that you seek out music now is getting this is the most popular of this artist, right? This one track.
I know.
And it's like, no, I want the whole, like the way they feed you is so small, even if it's of great people. And they're just like, this is the most listened to, so this is what you should listen to. And it's like, I don't know. I always like the B-side.
Yeah, deep cuts.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people find me, for instance, through this collective of people. I did some videos on YouTube called Postmodern Jukebox. So most people find me. My music is nothing like Postmodern Jukebox. However, I like that someone can find them, and then hopefully they'll find me, and then they'll go on a journey of my YouTube channel, and hopefully they'll stay.
Yeah.
Or hopefully they'll come try one show, and then I'll hook them.
Yeah.
And I'll get them, and I won't let them go, and that's the hope.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is I just have to keep making things that are authentic to me and good things.
Right.
And that I really believe in, and not trying to. If you go for gimmicks, like, you will just burn out so fast, I think.
Right. Yeah. When you're chasing them, that's the thing.
You got to chase that Bonnie Raitt trajectory.
Yeah. Just stick to yourself.
Make good things for your whole life. The end. That's the end of the trajectory. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And she had her first hit when she was 44 years old.
Wow.
Tina Turner had her first solo hit when she was 42.
Really?
Yes.
Jeez, I just saw her doing on Instagram. Instagram's great for showing old,
which I love.
Yeah, there was Tina Turner doing the Beatles, "Come Together."
Oh, so good.
Oh, it's so good.
She's just sex.
God.
Oh, she and Bonnie are so sexy. Just grown ass women. So good.
So good.
I love it.
So, what was the cover that you were showing me? What was that for?
Oh, my new album?
Yeah.
I have a new album. We are going into the studio in November in Memphis.
Oh, that's the cover art for the thing you are making now.
We haven't even recorded it.
That cover is so cool.
Thank you. It's going to be an R&B record, 90s R&B inspired.
Nice.
Going back to my roots a little bit. And
what do you mean inspired?
Well, inspired by the production that was in the 90s.
No, but it means that you're writing stuff based on that. Like, it's all original?
It'll all be original. 9 originals and 1 cover.
Nice.
And it will be like, if you like Babyface and Mariah Carey and Maxwell and Sade, you'll like this record.
Nice.
And it comes out in March.
Wow, very exciting. Yeah. So how long does it take you to write that?
I I just write so I can tour. So I don't write like year round. I just write. I kind of go, okay, it's time to write a new record, and I begrudgingly go in and finish a record.
When there's a deadline.
Kind of. I say I'm not inspired all the time, but if I sit down to do it, I can write a record in a couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess that's not that unusual.
If I'm really pressed to do it.
Yeah.
I usually over a period of a few months, I'll get inspired. I'll figure out what I want to do. I'll sit down with mostly Doug, my co-writer, and then a couple other co-writers as well. But yeah, if you sit down and you write a song a day,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then I'm like,
crazy
oh,
to
good.
me.
I don't have to write any songs until the next record.
Yeah. And do they change a lot after you get them down after a couple of weeks?
Yeah, they change when you start arranging them and figuring out what you want them to sound like. They change when you start playing them live too.
Yeah.
They take on a new. They become a living thing
Yeah.
because then they are a part of the audience. The audience is a part of the song.
You're getting their feedback.
Yes, and
that's interesting. I thought that 'cause that's how stand-up works, but I wouldn't think. I thought that music was different, like that it's not as much of a conversation. Like that.
I think the audience tells you how they feel. I think if you don't listen to that, that's foolish.
Yeah.
Not that all of a sudden I change my set every night, but I definitely feel the give and take. And songs take on a new life on the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Which I love.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So will you tour this one before you go in the studio?
No, because we're going into the studio in November.
Aye.
Like in 3 weeks.
Aye.
Yeah. And we're going to have a gospel choir on one track.
Really?
Yeah, which I've never had.
Wow.
The Morgan State University Choir singing on one track.
That's the coolest.
I know.
How cool is
It's
that?
like
you have a whole choir walking in. It's like
oh my God. And I've always had that in my brain. And when
Yeah.
I first heard them when I did my first show I ever did at Carnegie Hall. They were the choir for the Bernstein Mass. And I heard them and I was like, someday I'm going to sing with them on it. It took 14 years, but
Oh, really?
yeah.
What's special about them? They're
just classic. It's just like a wall of sound. They're so special.
Really?
Yeah.
How many of them about?
It's a huge choir. I don't know how
Yeah.
many. I think maybe we'll do 4 per voice part.
4 per voice part.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
20 people maybe, but then we'll double track them. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It'll be I've never done that, so it'll be really cool.
That's a cool moment because it comes off of just an idea you had in your head.
Yeah.
Around New York, and all of a sudden there'll be all these human beings showing up in a room.
When people show up, and I'm sure you have this feeling whenever you've put together so many epic things, and whether it's a special or a TV show, when you have an idea and then you turn around and the people are there making the idea come to life.
Oh yeah,
it's so cool.
It's the coolest.
Well, humans are a part of my vision now.
All the way up and down, like crew members,
Yeah.
An intern, the camera guy, the singers. I mean, that's insane. It really is a cool thing. It's like everyone coming together to go just make this thing that was just an idea you had.
That is just so.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That really is cool. So, what's your touring schedule going to be then? So you'll crank the album out, and then.
I'm touring a little bit through, the holidays here and there, kind of strange schedule. And then we're going to be on the road all of April and May. It's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah.
We're covering as much ground of the U.S. in April and May. We're doing a huge figure 8.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going to be great. So I think we're going to be on the road like 8 weeks.
How do you like the road?
I love the road.
You do?
I totally love the road.
Still love it?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I hate the logistics of the road.
Right. Because you're in charge of the whole damn thing.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the load in, load out. I mean, there's definitely... I hate the precariousness financially of getting it off the ground. It's not like anybody sends me any of my money up front. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
yeah.
Those kinds of things. I hate but I love being in a new city every night. Mm-hmm. I love creating my little family on the bus.
Yeah.
My dogs are with me.
Right.
Like, it's so fun. And yeah, I love traveling. I'm like vagabond at heart,
Yeah, it is a great thing. But man, you travel with a lot of people. It depends on what you're going out with, right?
I do travel with a lot of people. Like when I'm on a bus tour, I have Yeah, like 10 people with me on the road, and 2 dogs. It's a lot of
Yeah.
people to manage.
It's a lot of people.
And to
All
wrangle.
looking for lunch.
All looking for lunch. They are definitely all. I'm the mom of the tour.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You have a
yeah.
nickname?
Well, I mean, they call me MJ or Mom or yeah, the boss.
Yeah. Is it totally foreign to you to think of me and my wheelie bag going and doing 3 shows Thursday, Friday, Saturday completely alone?
I cannot imagine. It sounds really lonely to me because I'm always surrounded by people.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with if you probably don't ever bomb anymore, but like if you have a show that's subpar and then you have no one to commiserate with, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, it's usually I'll
Just
have
alone with your thoughts.
Yeah, just alone, just kind of like thinking, all right. I've become very monk-like about
Really?
tour. Yeah, since the pandemic and going back to it, I think it really gave me clarity of what's the important part about being out here right now.
And what is it?
It's purely the writing and the performing, and that's it. Everything else, where I would be like, I got to go find coffee. I got to go get something to eat, or my opening act wants to go eat, or like, what are we going to do after the show? What are we going to do after the show? I'm going to go back. I'm going to look at some notes from this show, and then I'm going to try and get to sleep at a decent hour. So tomorrow's show is going to be good. And it's just purely like, it's gotten so small in my mind in a really kind of strange way. It really is a little strange. But it's gotten very like small. It's just, it's paring it all down to what's left. What's the most important?
Most important ingredients.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean that like sometimes, you want to go get a meal or do something, but not in recent days.
I also think that's a testament to age too, which is like just not needing to prove that you can be the most social and the most up the latest, and then, needing the validation of other people is potentially something that comes with the wisdom of age. I don't know.
Yeah, you work smarter too.
Yes.
You know where to put your energy, where you're going to get the return for it in the best way, But back to the commiserating, when you bomb, I don't really bomb, but you're just in a mood or something weird happened or whatever. I usually have an opening act. I'll have like one person, and you can bitch with them.
Yeah, you
know?
have to have somebody to bitch to.
Yeah.
But it's like Steve Perry used to stay, lead singer of Journey.
Yeah.
And people used to ask him, like, what's it like, being a rock star? And he's like, for the band, it's a party. It's really fun. For me, I have to go back after the show and be on vocal rest and have tea, because if I don't come out the next night and hit all the high notes, there is no act.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of that for me.
Yeah.
Where I have to be so careful about what I put in my body and how much rest I get. Otherwise, a lot of people depend on me for their rent.
Yeah. So when you get fatigued from the logistics of it all, do you have like a buffer, or like you can hand it off, or?
I mean, I have a tour
Can you just
manager
go-
and I have a manager and I have a lot of people that help me. I'm definitely not doing it all alone.
Yeah.
And I do have to pick my battles.
Yeah.
But I'm doing like a pre-show meet and greet and a post-show meet and greet and a signing, and it's like
Right.
it's just a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah. You do pre-show and post-show?
Like a pre-show meet and greet and a post-show signing every single day. And
Wow.
sometimes I'll sign as long as people want to be there,
Yeah, I just did an hour in Houston after the show. It was just, the
Yeah.
line just went on forever.
That's great.
But it was great. I don't mind that.
But after talking for an hour and a half.
I know. By the end of it, someone came up and said, "You must be so tired." I was like, "I think I am."
I think yeah.
I don't like the pre.
I don't either.
The pre's
I hate
tough.
it.
Yeah.
I hate it. I just want to stay in my zone. But there are certain things that I'm in a place where I don't have certain luxuries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Meaning, you do certain things because I'm in a place where I'm trying to develop my touring career, and so
Yeah.
if it's extra dollars or connecting with more people that
Yeah.
I.
No, it all pays off. What do you eat on the road? Are you good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty healthy on the road. I love wine. I don't drink any wine on the road. I can't drink wine while I'm singing.
Oh, right.
I try to limit it to a bourbon if I'm gonna have
Right.
anything after the show.
Uh-huh.
But I eat pretty well. I eat pretty strictly. If I'm on the road, I'll try to be pretty strictly vegan.
Yeah.
Try.
Right.
It doesn't always pan out.
Yeah.
But I try, and a lot of water, and
Constant. Yeah.
I mean, flight days are it's a wash. Your whole system it goes out the window.
I almost wore a mask coming. I would have if I had one in my pocket, and I just haven't had a mask for so long.
Yeah.
But on a flight from Houston to Newark, just not even COVID, it just people coughing.
Just like
and
colds. I
just
don't want your
this
germs.
Kid snotting all over everything. I was like, we should be wearing masks all the time with the.
I still wear them on planes.
You do?
Yeah. Planes
Yeah.
and the subway, I still wear it.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed not having a cold or the flu for 2.5 years. That was
know.
quite enjoyable.
I know. Are you going to boost up?
Yeah.
I have an appointment tomorrow to boost.
The Omicron one?
Yeah.
Be careful.
Why?
It's going to take you out for a few days.
A few days?
Well, that's what I hear. I have friends that weren't affected at all by the others, and they were like, the Omicron booster got me.
Really?
Took me out.
I don't have a few days.
Okay.
It has to be done in 8 hours.
Well,
Maybe I should do it when I get home.
I don't know. Do you ever have is there a time when maybe you have 2 days where you could rest?
Yeah.
Never. You go. You make my schedule look like child's play.
That's not true.
Your schedule's
both
pretty
busy.
crazy. Well, we are.
Yeah. No, I'm constantly working. But, yeah, I have to get to the Yankee game on Thursday.
You have tickets to the Yankee game on Thursday?
Mm-hmm. But it might rain.
That's right by my house. You should come to our
Oh,
house
yeah.
for the game.
Yeah. I extended my trip.
You got an extra ticket, Tom?
I don't.
Papa?
You might get my ticket if it rains out and I have to go home.
Oh, great. I could just pop over.
You can hang out with my high school buddies.
Great.
We do a game each year.
Oh.
These 4 guys. And I've known them since, I was 10. And this year we didn't get to do it. And
So who scored ALCS tickets?
I did. I have a friend at the Yankees.
I got a friend of a friend.
My good friend Debbie.
Nice.
Yeah. And
That'll be amazing.
yeah, it will be amazing. But I'm worried about the weather. See, you travel with your partner.
I do.
I travel without my partner.
There are pros and cons.
There are. Yeah, because you wouldn't worry about extending your trip because they'd be on the trip with you. If I extend it and then it rains and I want to stay another day, I'm starting to push it.
I don't know how people have a traveling lifestyle that aren't with their partner. I mean, I'm so lucky. We just get to go everywhere together.
Yeah.
And we get to see the world, and there are a few things that I do on my own, like symphony shows, and he has a few things he does on his own,
Yeah.
which is nice. We get a tiny bit of space.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we are always together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's good, though. I mean, because the way you tour, I'll go for a couple days, normally a couple days, and then you're back
Yep.
home. So it's not that. But for you as a musician to go for weeks at a time.
It can't work.
No, that wouldn't work.
It's why just relationships just crash and burn. It's
Yeah.
just too much time apart.
Yeah.
And it's such a rough and tumble, lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's just late nights and drinking and,
Right. Yeah.
other
exactly.
talented, beautiful people. And I can see why relationships get effed.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the distance is too much at a certain point.
Yeah,
But being together all the time.
I know. A lot of people could not have done it. Like when COVID hit and people were like, wow, I'm always with my partner. This is horrible. And we were kind of like, well, it's just our life,
Yeah, this isn't really that different.
It was no different. For
Yeah.
us. So, we get on each other's nerves, but for the most part, we get along pretty well considering we're always together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy.
We write songs together, and we, and we're both such strong personalities. So,
Right.
but we do pretty well,
When you guys come and do my show,
Yeah.
and I always when I'm always bumped when I go to introduce you because you're Morgan James.
Yeah.
But then I'm friends with Doug. And
Yeah.
I want to mention Doug too, but this is really the Morgan James show.
Well, it's the Tom Papa show.
Well, it's the Tom Papa show, but Morgan James is the special guest.
Yeah.
Is it better to
doesn't
say
care.
and then just acknowledge him after? 'Cause I feel like I should be.
He doesn't care. The good thing about for those of you listening and watching, my partner Doug Womble, is that he had this like massively successful career before he ever met me,
Right.
and he's very fine being along. Like he knows all the importance of what he does in my life,
Right.
and the importance of what he does for my music and our music together,
Right.
And he doesn't. He's like.
He's not looking for.
He's not
stuff.
looking for the validation.
Yeah,
he is
he is-
very
yeah.
secure in his in what he brings,
Right.
and he's
Okay,
really
that's
not.
good.
He's not pressed for like, why didn't someone say my name equally? Like he's like,
Yeah.
no, they're there for you, you know,
Right. Right.
which
Yeah.
is great, and that security in what you do is very attractive, you
Yeah.
know, and knowing what you bring to the table.
Right. Yeah. All right. Good. That makes introducing you guys easier.
Just be like Morgan James and whoever this guy
And then
is.
give it up for the guitar
guy.
the guitar guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, tonight's gonna be an interesting one because we have this different musical setup.
Okay.
Apparently he's supposed to be great,
Great.
and he's part of the Comedy Cellar family. He does a lot of shows for them, so
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, so it should be pretty interesting.
Great.
Yeah, hopefully it'll go well, and then we'll have Dave Hill.
I mean, always the best.
Oh.
Although, is Dave going to be fine that there's not going to be bass and drums?
I guess he'll just mess with the keyboardist and the guitar and the drums. There's drums.
There's drums.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Keyboard and drums.
Great.
And yeah.
And it's a Halloween show.
Woo! It's gonna be. Oh, that's really good. That's your Addams Family roots.
Exactly. Exactly.
So who are you? So you have a. Would you say that you
Who
are
are
a
you?
Morgan James? Because when you were talking about your voice and who you really are,
Yeah.
it's sexy bluesy lady.
Yeah, I call myself a soul singer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the reasons I kind of left the Broadway world is I kind of saw, oh wow, I'm doing 8 shows a week. I'm busting my ass. We all are, for someone else to make money.
Mm-hmm.
Like for someone else's vision. And
Right.
it became clear to me, okay, I want to create something and build things
Yeah.
and make them. And whether they rise or fall, it's on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You're putting it out. Yeah.
And then, so soul singer and producer and
Right.
yeah, but I think in terms of my sound, I think the most true sound that I make is my soul singing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
Thank you.
I'm glad we're friends.
I'm glad we're friends too.
Yeah. In the intro, I'll tell people how I discovered you.
Oh yeah, Hollywood Bowl.
It was amazing.
And then you slipped into my DMs
Yeah.
and said, "Do you want to be on my show?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Sure."
And I was like, what? This is impossible.
And now you can't get rid of me. Which is like, I hope that you're okay with that.
It's the coolest. Well, thanks for doing this. This is really cool. It's really
Thanks
nice
for
to be able
having
to ask you questions.
Yeah.
What else do I need to
Did
know
you
about
get all your questions in?
Most of them. Yeah, I think most of them. I mean, your Boise, Idaho roots.
Yeah.
When did you leave there if you were in Modesto in high school?
I was born in Boise. I grew up in Pocatello, Idaho. I lived in Idaho until I was about 12.
Until you were 12.
Yeah.
So were you a feral
Farm girl.
farm
That's
girl?
what- not really.
No.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I like to fish and be outdoors and do stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
But not really. It was still just like suburban.
Uh-huh.
But I, growing up in Idaho, it's like you're just wanting to be somewhere else because you've never seen the ocean or been to a professional baseball game or
Yeah.
been to an amusement park. It just seems like
Right.
the rest of the country has cool things you want to go see. And,
Right.
it's like one of the first things I did when we moved to California is like, I wanted to see a baseball game, and I wanted to see San Francisco, and I wanted
Yeah.
to just see this
Yeah. The stuff that doesn't come to Idaho.
doesn't come through.
Do you ever connect with Ryan Hamilton about Idaho?
Well, when I met him, I'm a huge fan of his. When I met him and it came up in conversation, or maybe he had mentioned it on stage, and I
Yeah.
mean, no one is from Idaho. Like, no one gets, escapes,
Right.
and, gets out.
Yeah.
And not a lot of us in the entertainment, I've
Yeah.
met 3 people from Idaho in the entertainment world. And and so I love when he in his act, when he says, the first thing that people say is when he says he's from Idaho, they go, why? And they also think it's Ohio or Iowa.
Right.
We have shirts in Boise, that have the picture of the state and it says Iowa. It's just a running joke that no one cares about us.
Yeah.
No one knows.
It's such a great state.
It's
I love
beautiful.
Boise. Yeah.
I love Idaho so much. I love when I get to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of the white supremacists, it's great.
Yeah. It always gets weird on the edges.
It really does.
Yeah. Would you move back to that kind of living, you think, later on?
No.
Or, no,
I'm a New
you're
Yorker.
city
I'm a
girl now.
lifer.
You are.
I would love a house upstate,
Yeah.
the New Yorker's dream. But
Yeah.
if I'm not going to be in New York, I'll move to Europe. But I'm such a New
Right.
Yorker,
Yeah.
I love it.
It
I don't
is
know
the
how you
best.
live in LA, Tom. It's
Well,
just,
it may not be forever. I'm here right now.
I know.
I
And
see you pretty often, and we're always in New York.
You do. I do enjoy that. You've been keeping
Right?
up with your visits.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
It's the whole reason to do the Come to Papa show, so I can just keep coming back to New York.
Well, you do have a good setup where you get to come back here once a month. That's great.
Yeah, I always, whenever I get any kind of shows that are close, and then tag this on,
Oh, yeah.
that's a good way to kind of do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Yankees play, and then you just don't leave.
I'm a huge baseball fan. I've been to some pretty amazing postseason games in my day.
You have?
I have. I was at the Derek Jeter Game 4 November 1st home run game.
No way.
Yeah, Mr. November. I was there.
Really?
Mhm.
That's a good one.
I was at a lot of, it's, before I worked nights, I could go to games more.
Yeah, I know exactly. You're just like, that's when Judge was going to break the record.
Oh my gosh.
I was in
Incredible.
Chicago. I was about to go on stage, and I said to my friends on the text thing that I go to the games with, I said, good news, I'm about to go on stage, so he's about to tie the record. And of course, exactly what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't really
Yeah,
keep track
so
of what
great.
you used to. That's so great.
Well, thank you for doing this. This was amazing.
Thank you for having me,
You're the best.
Tom.
And I can't believe we're pals.
I'm so happy we're pals.
I know.
Every time I'm around you and your cool friends, I feel like I'm in the cool crowd.
They're not cool.
Well, you are.
I know.
I like how they all come by your table and kiss the ring. Like you are everybody loves Tom Papa.
Oh, they should.
In fact, actually, I sometimes I forget what a big deal you are, and I'll just say to people, "Oh, my friend Tom Papa," and they're like, "Oh, your friend," and I'm like, I didn't mean to say his full name to be douchey. I just was like, and I was like, "Oh, you know him?" And they're like, "Yeah." Big deal.
It's a name that has to be said all at once.
It really does.
Yeah. Kids do that all the time.
Do they?
Yeah, Tom Papa. For some reason, it just seems like one
That's
thing.
so, I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're the best, Morgan. We have to go do a show.
Yep. All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
Tom.
Nicole. There you have it, kids. That was Morgan James. I told you she's beautiful, very insightful, very smart. Go and download her music and keep it on your favorites, and you will live a better life. Go to tompapa.com, look up all of my dates. I am touring all over the country. I also have an appearance coming up in a couple weeks on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. And my new special, I'll be announcing the air date of that soon. I just finished the edit of it, so soon I will let you all know. You'll be the first to know. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.